it's time for negative space. It's time for negative space. Yeah, it's time for negative space. Yeah, for negative space drawing. Okay, so our next exercise is a type of drawing that's called a negative space drawing. And this is another really good drawing exercise that will help us develop our ability to see. In addition to the intersection drawing and the blind contour, continuous line, this is just another aspect of being able to see forms in space and to interpret them and draw them on a piece of paper. So the way this is going to work is I'm setting up a still life where I've chosen some objects that I feel like can create good negative space. So negative space is the space around the forms, both inside some of the forms. So for example, like the handle of a watering can, or inside of the handle of a cup, a coffee cup. And there's some other things you may find around the house that could also create nice negative spaces. And then I also want to set up a rule for myself, and for you to set up a rule for yourself, as to what will be the negative space that you capture. So basically, you are only drawing the shapes that outline the negative space or the space around the forms. And in my case, with this setup, is I am drawing anything that is around the forms, including the box that the objects are resting on. So I'm only drawing those particular shapes. And sometimes it's easy if you can count how many shapes there are. So other than the shape around all of the objects, so I can count that as sort of as like one shape, I can say there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 negative shapes on the inside, maybe 7, I don't know. So we'll see. Okay, so I want to start with, after I've set up my still life, I'm going to start with a 2B pencil, and I'm just going to start to draw one of the negative shapes. And I recommend starting with one that's like, you can kind of easily see what the shape is. It could be something that resembles a geometric shape even. So, and something that's not too big. So I'm not going to start with like the whole outline of everything. I'm going to start with an interior negative shape. And so there's this little shape that the edge of it touches a little bit of the watering can handle, and also the side of the yellow plastic thing. I have no idea what that is. And I'm going to draw lightly, because if I need to change something, then I can. And I'm drawing slowly so that I can easily shift things if I need to. So really the process is just like the continuous line. So I drew that shape just like I did with the continuous line process. It's just now I'm just drawing that particular contour rather than the entire thing. So even though this edge is that can, I'm not continuing to draw it because that's not a negative space. So just like with the intersection drawing, I'm not going to draw a negative space here and then draw the one that's over here. I'm going to draw the next closest one. So the next closest one to what I just drew is to the right of that little shape. And so it's on the other side of the watering can handle. So I'm going to draw that. And then that edge leads to the bottom part of the yellow thing, and then goes up here until it gets to the coffee cup, which is also yellow. Must like yellow things. So here is that edge of the coffee cup. Now, I know that the rest of the coffee cup goes down to where it's resting on the platform, but I've considered the platform to also be a positive form. So I'm not drawing all the way down. I'm only drawing to where it leads to the back edge of that wooden platform. So that is what I'm drawing next. So as I go along, I look at the shapes again. Do I see this shape in what I'm looking at? And it's pretty close. And then do I see this shape in that? That's pretty close. Okay. So now I've got another shape to try to fit in that's closer. So since I've already established this, maybe I'll start with this because this is that back edge of the platform. So I'll just continue that edge on the other side of the yellow thing in the background there. And I'm just guessing right now the spacing. I'm not too worried about. I know that the handle has to come down this way, and I know this should be past it. So I'm going to say it's here, then it hits the side of the watering can, but then it also hits the side of the yellow thing, and then it goes out like this and then comes back in again and then goes like that, and then the watering can goes out like that, and then it comes around, and then it's a slightly vertical slant that way. So I know that the watering can goes down all the way down to where the handle meets it, but again, that's all within the positive space area. So I'm only drawing this particular shape, and again, I kind of look at the shape that I drew here on the actual still life and see if it resembles it. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3. So the next closest one, I guess, is the one up here. So this one's going to be a little bit further away, so a little bit tougher. But since I already have this inside edge of the watering can kind of established, I think I'll use that as a guide to where I start. So I'm kind of ghost drawing the rest of the, remember, ghost drawing is where you kind of draw the line, but you don't touch the paper, so you don't really draw it. But I'm just extending that edge this way, and then I'm thinking this is a good place to start. And so then that watering can handle goes like this. So this is the inside of the handle here. So again, I'm trying to connect my eye and my hand, just like I did with the continuous line and the blind contour. Where my hand is, my eye is, and I'm constantly looking at what I drew before to determine, well, how far away should I draw things? And proportions might end up being slightly skewed, and that's okay. So I think there, I don't want to go too far because I know that it stops a bit higher than this. So then there's part of the watering can, then it hits the yellow thing again. And then that basically is a curve that will run into that. So that's the yellow thing here, and that is connecting there. So the watering can actually goes like, here's the hole where you put the water in is somewhere over here. Okay, So I got that one. What's the next one? Well, we have, I guess maybe I should start to draw the outer part of the watering can handle, because that will help describe the negative space on the outer part of it. And that can be hard to deal with because that is just a big shape, right? So I'm just drawing the contour of the watering can. I'm not even thinking about it as a negative shape, but eventually it will become that. So this goes to here, and eventually it would connect to that. So I am looking at this edge as I continue, and this goes down a little bit further than that, and then it hits the side of but notice I'm actually going to extend this out a little bit so that this will meet with that. There we go. So there's the side of the coffee cup. And then here's the back edge of the coffee cup. I'm sitting down drawing it, so it's might be a little bit skewed. So normally if I was drawing a cup or any symmetrical form, I wouldn't be drawing it this way. I'd be like putting a line down the middle and drawing and going back and forth. But since this is an exercise similar to the continuous line, I'm just treating it that way. So, okay, coffee cup. So it's neat when things start to come together. It's like, okay, I see the coffee cup. So notice I didn't draw any, like I know that there's the inside lip. I'm not drawing that because that's not part of the negative space. Okay, so now I will continue with the rest of the water. And I'm just guessing about how long I should go. I want to be careful though, because I also need to think about the inside of the watering can. So maybe I'll go ahead and stop there and then start on the inside of the watering can so that I get that correct. So this is the inside, and then it comes out, which is sort of the other side. This is the other side of the watering can. This is this kind. And I may be exaggerating these shapes a little bit, and that's okay. Okay, and then this comes down. So should this go down? Should this stop before this? Or should it be even? Or should it be slightly lower? And I perceive it to be slightly lower. So I'm thinking about intersections too. So see how everything builds on itself. So I'm thinking about where that, I'm just not drawing the intersection first. I'm just thinking about where those things, where this edge of the watering can intersects with the side of the platform. And then it comes back. So this is the inside of the spout. So I need to make sure this is going to be a little bit too, actually need to adjust something because I did not make this rounded enough. So that's cool. So I'm glad that I had stopped when I started to draw this thing. I stopped so that I can deal with this interior shape first. So that goes up here. And then here's just the little bridge thing. And so I will connect that to that. It's the bridge thing. This is the spout. And then let me get this more rounded now. And so it should start to resemble it more. It's the Loch Ness Monster. See, we even as adults, we just end up just drawing dinosaurs. Okay. There we go. Maybe go to where the edge of that. All right. Okay, so I think that's it. So the outer part, so we start to see here's the watering can, interior things. And then when you're done, I'm going to take, you don't have to use the 6B, but I'm just going to start to fill in, basically just like coloring in the negative shapes. And as I'm doing it, I'm not just coloring it in just to color it in. I'm still looking at the shapes because I can make adjustments. So remember when I said, oh, like I might be exaggerating some things. So like this probably doesn't bulge out this much. So am going to edit that a little bit to reflect what I see a little more. So hopefully that will start to, it actually has a pointier corner there. So yeah, as I'm coloring it in, I can also make little tiny adjustments too to make it even more accurate. All right, so I'll just keep going along until I have all the negative spaces filled in. Now on the outer part, if you want to, you can just, you know, like, you don't have to like color in or pencil in this entire area. It can just be just enough to where you can adjust or edit the shapes if you need to, and you can see the shapes better. So I'm just gonna do that all the way around, and then of course color in inside, and hopefully you'll see the shapes even more. All right, so try that, and we will do some of this in class next class. Well, it's time for